What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for July 27th, 2026. 4.10 and Siege of Orison hit Wave 1, so I can finally show it to you. CIG is working on a lot of things kind of outside of the game, as well as trying to fix as many issues as they can, and there's a new PvP hotspot, and may I dare say, CIG might get it? All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, so stop by and say hi if you haven't yet. Always enjoy seeing you guys over there. Missed you guys last week. I was super sick. This week, we got quite a bit to cover, so before I do, let me share with you today's sponsor. So, as many of you know, I live stream a lot, and I've been streaming more hours than I used to. So these days, lunch goes right through the stream pretty often, and I started eating really bad because I needed to have something quick. Now I finally have a solution for that problem. Factor. Factor meals require no planning, no prep, no cleanup. Factor's ready-to-eat meals take all the effort out of eating well. But the big one for me is I used to only eat one meal religiously from Factor, the chicken Alfredo. It's really, really good, and I'm a super picky eater. So pre-made meals are difficult for me because they might have a little vegetable in there I might not enjoy or something like that. Now, the variety that Factor provides these days, I had to narrow down my menu this week. I had so many choices that worked for me. You know, they have salads now. That's my favorite thing to eat for lunch after stream. I got the chicken Caesar, which was amazing. The Thai chicken peanut salad, which is right up my alley too. So yeah, that's really awesome for variety for me. Even had lasagna, which was almost as good as my mom's. Nobody will ever hit my mom's, sorry Factor, but it was the same style and everything, so you got real close. I had barbecue chicken pizza even, and meatball calzones. All of this was perfect for my situation. So if you're interested in Factor, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code SaltEMikeFB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code SaltEMikeFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Once again, SaltEMike FB50 at factor75.com. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. And with all the bills paid, let's jump into the patch updates. All right, we start out on Tuesday. We had some downtime where they tried to deal with instability and maybe even an exploit or two, but they also dealt with things like party member names, plasma grenades, issues with those, losing control of our ships, and even seeing other player ships in your hangar, which we've had that issue for a very long time. Wednesday, we had another hot fix where they did more stability fixes and a number of attempts to fix bugs around cargo hauling, like but being able to buy and sell when you're docked, as well as being able to call a cargo landing zone for ships like the Hull C. Friday, another hot fix. This was a weird one. I've not experienced this issue. Something about not being able to control your player at all with a mouse after loading in. They don't seem very confident in this post that they fixed it even, because they're kind of asking people if it worked or not. And then finally, Friday, we had our Wave 1 4.10 patch. And I always kind of hate this about patch notes when it's an Evo patch and then it becomes Wave 1. They leave the notes for the Evo patch, which leaves out all the paper trail of like the information about Siege or instancing and the important stuff that somebody needs to know about in Wave 1. The only feature item in these notes is that they increase the range of the med gun. If I recall, they absolutely know this thing is overpowered, so I'm not sure any buff to it is good, but obviously with the super heavy armor, this is probably needed because of the healing range being too short. So I guess the issue here is they always develop in a vacuum, and they don't develop anything about Star Citizen with the broad idea of what Star Citizen is, because nobody knows what the broad idea of what Star Citizen is. Now, in terms of the actual patch, this is the first time I ever played 4.10. That's the footage you're seeing. I have I've never skipped Evocati before, or every patch in Evocati since it's existed until this one. I just wanted to experience Siege without it being kind of ruined by having to play the super broken early stages. I wanted to enjoy Star Citizen a little bit for the first time instead of always be testing it and having it feel almost like work. So I took a long break from SC, and this was my comeback to it. And I have to say, a lot of the things that I hated about Siege are still kind of there. My main thing is, it's always just been too large. This is currently just a 4-person loop, and everything that leads up to the final boss seems really long and drawn out just because. I mean, you have to kill what feels like 120 NPCs each or more simply because the play area is so big. And in general, on the instancing side so far, I'm not seeing a difference really. NPCs feel the same, which is not great. Performance is still generally bad on the client side, likely because how big the area is and how many entities are in them. Because, yeah, the locations are so large. When something like instancing comes in, what I'm personally looking for, I don't know what you guys are looking for, sound off in the comments, is for it to change the game. And the only thing that it really changed was leading up to the boss fight is that nobody can interfere with the Siege event for me. You know, we had to do the content ourselves. Nobody else was going to do it for us. Now, on a positive note, I think outside of a few bugs with the boss that I found, Mendo, which was the previous boss in the old Siege, they kind of nailed the end of the fight a bit. He's in super heavy armor, super dangerous, and also super bullet spongy. But there's some mechanics now, which is cool. There are even multiple stages of the fight where radiation is involved, although it barely seemed to have any effect on me, so maybe they need to dial that up a little bit. In the end, what I feel like they're kind of going for here is like overall, this is overall Siege, is like a battlefield campaign mission or something. The play space is that large, right? But what they don't have is like the breaks, the end of this mission, and then you get cinematics and storytelling, and then you interact with characters, and like the large play space doesn't have to be a negative, but because it has to be done straight through with no breaks, nothing breaking up the monotony, it kind of is, right? So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and how you experienced it if you did. I just want to do mostly like crafting, mining, and salvaging in the game. This isn't my type of content really, so maybe this just isn't for me. But I think the Battlefield example is sort of what is the issue here, right? Is there's not this like breakup of it. Like this could be broken up into many little missions and some story, you know, breaking up the monotony. I think that would be really fun. Lastly, 4.10, I got my hands on the new gun, the Arlington lever action rifle, and it's really strong, and style-wise, it's exactly what I feel is missing in Star Citizen. That Western style, it's cool. It was fun to use, but I assume it's definitely going to get nerfed. And then they have a massive amount of bug fixes in this patch, for like this specific patch. So just take a look in the description. Maybe they tackled something that is driving you mad, but they had so many that they had to separate them into categories. But I look at this as they're still trying to improve the current experience, and they aren't stopping at 4.9 to try to stabilize. We don't have any video content still. Many weeks without video content. It's kind of ridiculous at this point, I would say, especially when Jared came out at the beginning of the year and said we were going to have something every week for the most part, and we've definitely had the opposite of that. No roadmap updates because that was last week when I missed, so we're going to move right into other updates, and there's quite a bit there. All right, and of course, we start out with the sneak peek. Not much to say here. The main thing is they're showing the super heavy armor, but this super heavy armor is just another skin that they want to sell. This is, again, another week where I would like to remind someone that cares at CIG, maybe, if anybody is there that cares in the departments that handle things like this, the Star Citizen sneak peek should be sneaking new game content, not sales. Please, it's been every week for the last, like, 5 months. Like, can we stop? Please. Then we have Twitch drops and Foundation Festival. So in a couple of days is Foundation Festival. This is an event kind of where CIG tries to help promote their guide system and help new players. But this time they're also doing Twitch drops, which is weird. And they're also doing it in a weird way. First is the standard. Watch any Twitch stream for 4 hours. You can break it up. You can break it up between different Twitch streams. 4 hours total, and you get an Atlas skin, a Foundation Festival Atlas skin. Okay? But the new thing is you have to be a new subscriber for a Twitch channel or gift a new subscription for a Twitch channel, which is a paid feature on Twitch, around $6. And then you get the Banu lockbox. So you're paying $6 for a Banu lockbox, but you're paying it to a Twitch streamer. I talked at length about this on the TV channel, but I will reiterate something small. CIG has never proved that they have any clue on how to handle rares in Star Citizen, MMO rares. One-time items often become available, think the Vandal Mask, for example, multiple times over the years instead of just tweaking them, making them a little different each year, so each one is separate, perhaps, something like that. This lockbox isn't the exception. These were handed out at Bar Citizens in 2022. Now, again, I said this in the video, I don't really have an issue with this specific box because it wasn't game related, but I do question if CIG has any clue on how to handle, like, I was there rewards or not. Next up is a survey. It's more of a PSA here that there is a survey available for you to fill out on how to communicate in Star Citizen. How do you want it to improve, how you do it currently, and all that stuff. They are looking to figure out what to prioritize in terms of social tools right now, and that is the focus for them. But again, I said this in the TV channel video about it, I don't want to harp on this too much, but systems like this are meant to bring people from outside Star Citizen that are not currently playing it. Nobody that is playing the game right now, I think, is like their feelings and their thoughts on things are significantly less valuable for the things that are supposed to bring in people from the outside, right? Is how I look at this, but it doesn't mean that their answers don't have weight. They obviously, many people play other games and things like that, but I hope they don't put the ultimate weight on Spectrum users' feelings on this. Then, speaking of Spectrum, we have a Spectrum redesign that happened this week. I don't have a ton to add here. It doesn't seem super different to me or anything, and I don't really use Spectrum that much. So let's just list off the features. They updated the sidebar a little bit for communities and guilds and such. They are dealing with direct messages a little bit differently now, but again, I don't really use Spectrum DMs. They did a mobile refresh, which I honestly have to say was super needed, and they end with the fact that this is just the beginning, and they have more plans for the future. Something else related to the website is the ship matrix update. It's relatively small, but the team finally, after all these years, are able to keep the stats on the website for a ship you might buy in game. So that's kind of cool, right? The constantly changing stats can be annoying. Star Citizen ships are always getting balanced, and that's a thing. I personally don't get worked up about this because I think we need massive sweeping changes around most of our ships, like significantly larger ones than we've gotten over the years. And I don't spend much time on the website. So I think third-party sites are just faster and better than CIG will ever be at this. So I just choose to use those. But for newer players, this might be a massive W. I don't know. Then for dev posts, we only have one, but it's a collection of posts if you use the link in the description, and it's about the Star Citizen economy a bit. And I gotta say this, and maybe I'll post something on the TV channel about it. I don't know, but overall this seems like a pretty big positive. One of the economy guys, Highlander I think his name is, I should have put that in my little notes here, who is kind of focused on commodity trading and balancing that, inserted a new kind of overpowered trade route for a new commodity at Ashland in Pyro. Alespo, I think it's called. And PvPers are fighting over the area like crazy and making positive posts about it. And I talk a lot about CIG kind of getting it, but like if they get it or the fact that they don't get it, right? This dev seems to kind of get it based on his comments in the thread. So feel free to check it out. Personally, I think commodity trading is one of the worst ways to do hotspots, but how he thinks about hotspots here, I can't disagree with his thought process at all. So I think he gets it, right? I just wish there were more mining, salvage, sandboxy type hotspots that didn't involve terminals and freight elevators and waiting hours for limited stock that doesn't exist, and you're competing with people on different servers that you can't see. I prefer if it was found in abundance on the server that you're on, fought over until it dried up, and then rinse and repeat somewhere else. Regardless, this is a great read from top to bottom. A lot of people who chimed in the thread also had some great points, and I really enjoyed it. so I figured I would share it with you guys. And that's where we'll leave Week in Review this week. Thank you so much for watching. I really do apologize for missing last week. I can't describe how sick I was. I'm still feeling it 2 weeks later. So yeah, don't wish this illness on my greatest enemies. But overall, I don't know what to think about 4.10. I don't know what to think about 4.9. I'm taking a pretty extended break from Star Citizen at the moment, and this is the only thing that's keeping me connected to it. So I know that's kind of what you guys say in the comments about me too, is that these videos are sort of one of the only ways that you keep connected to Star Citizen. So I kind of can relate to you in this moment. But overall, just hoping the game continues to get better, and we'll see. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will catch you all next week. And yeah, sorry again I missed last week.